Hello, I'm Simon and welcome to the SciRob YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to test and change an alternator clutch pulley. If you've got any funny noises in the alternator belt area, squeaking, shrieking noises, unusual vibrations, the belt's moving, the belt tensioner is moving, then it could be the alternator clutch pulley. So I'm going to show you how to hopefully eliminate that, and if it is the problem, how to change it. The pulley I'm going to be fitting is a German made one by a company called Inner, and it's actually on my car identical to the genuine manufacturer's pulley, so this cost me £20 instead of best part of £100. You can also get charging issues on your alternator if the clutch mechanism within a clutch pulley starts to misbehave. So if you've got unusual charging problems, it's always worth considering that the alternator clutch pulley might be the problem. Some people get ripped off and have a whole new alternator replaced when it's actually just a £20 pulley that needs changing. So let's go out to the car and I'll show you what to do. So testing a clutch pulley is very simple. This particular alternator is an anti-clockwise rotating alternator. So even though the crank pulley rotates clockwise with the routing of the belt on this particular car, the alternator rotates anti-clockwise to generate power. And as I turn it, just look in there, you might be able to see the cooling fin turning. Yeah, okay, so all I'm going to do, I'm just going to get this screwdriver and place it into the hole to jam the cooling fin. So now when I try and turn this won't turn. Okay, it's locking against the cooling fin. But if I turn it backwards and jam against the cooling fin, I'm able to turn the pulley backwards. So that means, and not only that, it's a very nice, smooth, easy action. So that means that the clutch mechanism on this alternator pulley is absolutely fine. It locks in the direction of generation, so it's an anti-clockwise, but it slips in the opposite direction when you've got the fins jammed with the screwdriver. And it's as simple as that. And then if you need to change the alternator pulley, you don't necessarily have to take the alternator off the car. So that's the cap off, and I'll get the tool. So this is the tool that I would use on this particular car. This is the Sealy SX400, and if I open it up, there's a few different tools for different pulley designs. For this particular one, this is a 33 spline clutch pulley, and it needs an M10, but as you can see that one's too long, so it actually has this nice short M10 here. And if I get a brand new alternator pulley here, and because it's an anti-clockwise rotating on this one, this would screw onto the spindle with a reverse thread, so it would actually screw on anti-clockwise. So to remove it, it comes off clockwise, and the 33 spline tool would fit inside there to turn it. But in order to stop the alternator shaft turning, so if you imagine this is screwed onto the alternator shaft, this fits through the tool and would lock into the alternator shaft there. So with a 21mm, you would turn this big nut anti-clockwise, and with a 12mm you would hold this nut steady, so they'd move against each other, and then basically the pulley would come off. Like I say, for this particular tool, because of the design, because of the short design, you can actually get it into the the pulley itself whilst it's still in situ. So this is the tool with the spanners attached to it. If you're going to use the ring portions of the spanners as opposed to the open ends, you'd have to, on this car, connect them before installing the tool, because once the tool's installed you won't be able to get the rings over it. And I'll just show you installing the tool in real time, and it's, you know, literally, I don't know, less than 10 seconds to actually get the tool in place. So if you're using the open ends of the spanners, if you trust your spanners and they're a good fit and they're good quality, then by all means use the open end. I chose to use the ring parts of the spanners just to get the maximum grip possible. And that red bar just then, that's actually the handle from my trolley jack, so it's added around about 2 feet in length onto the 12mm. So I'm actually going to be using the 12mm and pushing that away from me in an anti-clockwise direction, and this is like the edited highlights of that. And it took a lot of pressure to break that initial seal. Once the tool's out of the way though, you can see me turning the pulley clockwise to unscrew it off the spindle. So there's the old pulley just there, and I'm glad I changed it. You'll hear the slight roughness in a minute. So even though it was in reasonable condition, it was on its way out and wouldn't have lasted, you know, another few years. So for the sake of, for how much they cost, you really may as well just get them swapped over. So on goes the new one, and it's just the reverse, where you just turn it on this particular one anti-clockwise, and away it comes, or on it goes rather. You can see it screwing into the towards the engine block there. And then you would use the tool in reverse, and it's a lot easier to secure it. It doesn't really need much pressure at all, but just using the tool in reverse, using the spline to turn the spline tool to turn anti-clockwise, and the spindle tool to turn clockwise this time. But it all becomes clear when you're using it. So yeah, so here's the, now it's off the car, you can hear that little bit of roughness. And it's that reason why I'm glad that I've changed it out. And then the final job is getting the cap on, and you might think I'm joking here, but you could actually find installing the cap takes longer than taking the whole pulley off, because it's a very close fit. Don't press the rubber centre part. You work your way around the harder plastic edge. Work your way around with a screwdriver. If you've got a second pair of hands to help you, it's a little bit like putting a tyre back onto a bike, you know, and you use 2 tyre levers, because as you're going round it can kind of pop out. You'll see what I mean. There's no real knack to it. You just have to persevere. And that's how you use the clutch pulley removal tool and change your alternator pulley.